أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي لا يبلغ مدحته القائلون ولا يحصي نعماءه العادون ولا يؤدي حقه المجتحدون، الذي لا يدركه بعد الهمم ولا يناله غوص الفطن، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين، حبيب قلوبنا وطبيب نفوسنا والشفيع ذنوبنا، سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. وعلى بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين، صاحب العصر والزمان، خليفة الرحمن، إمام الإنس والجان، ولعن الله أعداءهم أجمعين إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات لندخلنهم في الصالحين. صلوا على محمد وعلى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد.
First of all, we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this tawfiq and this inspiration to gather like this and to hold such gatherings and such mahafil where we celebrate the birth of the Ma'soomeen. The month of Shaaban, as many of you know, is a very unique month in the sense that it is the only month on the Islamic calendar that doesn't have a single Shahada date in it. It's a month of barakats, it's a month of khushi and celebration, it's a month of ma'arifat of the Ahlul Bayt. It's also the month of the warriors of Karbala as well. A lot of the dates that we have in this month that we use to celebrate the birth of those individuals who were instrumental in saving the deen on the plains of Karbala. And these types of gatherings are very, very special in the sense that we have a moment where we can discuss a little bit of their philosophy, not just to know them, but to apply their path as well. On a personal note, I'm very thankful to the community here, to Brother Imran and the entire team, to Brother Mahdi, for inviting me during this very special weekend. My first time in Winnipeg, alhamdulillah. It's an honor for me to be here. And it's nice to see so many young faces, mashallah, during, not only is it playoff hockey, but also during exams as well. So, and not only do I pray for your exams, but I pray for your jets as well, inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
It's a very difficult task to speak about these three personalities across 2 days. And so I thought long and hard about what to talk about. And to somehow come to a common topic across the three individuals, of course being Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wa salam, Abu Fadl Abbas alayhi salam, and Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. Each of these individuals require many, many days of discussion to understand their philosophy on life, even their role leading up to Karbala. For example, if we look at Imam Sajjad's role, for example, he was the only male that lived beyond the day of Ashura. And he carried the gham of the day of Ashura for 34 years after the day of Ashura. His role in doing what? In preserving the azab of Abdullah is a whole discussion. The whole movement of Imam Hussain leading up to the moment that he was shaheed on the plains of Karbala is an entire discussion. Abu Fazl Abbas's role as a youth and a youngster on the day of Ashura is an incredible discussion for our youth today. And so I'll do my best to present a few points here that we can ponder on. But ultimately, what I want all of us to gain from tonight's discussion first, because tomorrow will be a different discussion, is that if you look at these three individuals and what they did for the deen, they served the deen outside of them. And I'll explain what that means in a moment. To understand what they did on the plains of Karbala, we have to remind ourselves of a couple of realities, okay? The first thing is that the deen of Islam never came down to be an individual deen. It's not only an infiradi deen, it's a deen of the jama'ah. It's a deen of ijtima'. Meaning what? It's a social communal deen as well. I say that only because I see certain things either in Toronto or up and down North America or really globally now, where this phenomenon of the individual is wreaking havoc inside of our youth. It's a whole philosophy of life called individualism, where you are and only concerned about who? Yourself. This entire phenomenon of social media is all a chance for us to do what? To brand ourselves, to market ourselves. We no longer become a person, we become a brand on social media, right? So anywhere I go, anything I do, anything I buy or make or go or travel, whatever, has to be on social media. Because that's my brand. I'm promoting my brand. There are people right now in this world who get paid just for being them. They arrive at parties, Hollywood parties, and they get paid thousands and millions of dollars for what? So someone can say, this person A was at my gathering, was at my party. So we're no longer us, we are actually a brand, a billboard. And in this reality TV era where they take the randomest guy on the street and give a TV show to him, and the ratings are skyrocketing, that also becomes something that we aspire to become. Not everyone in this room. I'm saying generally the youth. And in the process, what ends up happening is that they've been told since day number one of their youth that, look, just worry about yourself. So long as you and God are good, it doesn't matter about anybody else. So long as you're studying and things at home are okay and you're not caught up in drugs and this and that, that's fine. If the guy beside you who is your brother is drowning, thank Allah that you know how to swim. And move on. Because we really adopted this culture, unfortunately, where we don't even ask sometimes of those people that we know are struggling right now in their life. Because we're scared the reaction might be, none of your business. Mind your own business. Don't make it mate. Why are you asking me for it? Live your own life. Don't worry about my life. I'm fine. And so just to avoid that awkward moment, we don't even ask people, how can we know that there are people in our communities who are suffering? We know there are youth who are off the path. We know brothers of mine, classmates of mine, are mubtala in some addiction, for example. I know that a friend of mine or a community member of mine who I've known since 10, 15 years now, their child went through a nasty divorce, Jafri, for example. A nasty divorce. All sorts of rumors are coming about. And I'm a good friend of his. Do we have that culture today where I can pick up the phone and say, look, is everything okay at home? I don't want details. I don't care about details. But you need, a chai partner. You want to go and grab, some Tim Hortons and sit down and have a coffee together? Just to talk. Do we have that culture or not? Because the reality, if you look up and down the fit of the deen is all about the community at large. Not about the individual. Yes, there's a portion of the deen that is absolutely about the individual, no doubt about it. But the focus has been since day number one about the idea of surrounding yourself with the right people. If not for anything else, than for there to be a force field against shaitan. Remember the hadith by Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam? He has a very beautiful example of a sheep and a wolf. And he says that when a wolf wants to attack a sheep, he's presented with two options. There's a lone sheep in the corner, there's a sheep attached to a group on the other side. The wolf will assess the situation, how he says, and he'll attack who? The lone wolf, the sheep. Why? Because the rate of success is higher because he's by himself. The other sheep, albeit he might be weaker, he has what? He has attached himself to a group that will protect and defend him. The first Imam says Shaitan is no different. Shaitan, when he goes to attack, especially our youth, he looks, is this youngster, a loner, doesn't have the proper friends, no attachment to the community, doesn't come to the center, he's alone by himself, he's easier to sway than a youth who has an amazing force field around him that helps him to do what? To repel me against him. There's one hadith I came across. Our sixth Imam talks about the fadil of Hajj in Kafi, okay? He talks about tawaf. Talks about what? Tawaf, thank you. Tawaf. He says that one round of tawaf, one of the 7, one round of tawaf is equal to 6,000 good deeds that are written for you. Okay? One round of tawaf removes 6,000 sins from your books. One round. Keep that in the back of your mind. The fadilat of tawaf and Hajj. Now come to the story. Sahabi doing Hajj with Imam Sadiq, and they're doing Hajj together, and they are going around and around, and after the first round of tawaf, the friend of the Sahabi has done his tawaf, he's calling him, saying, I need your help for something. And the Sahabi ignores him. He's doing tawaf. The second round comes about, and now Imam Sadiq notices this individual is calling the Sahabi beside him for help. He's adamant that I need your help about something. The sixth Imam says to him, do you not see your friend asking you for help? He says, yes, I do, but Ya Rasulullah, I'm doing tawaf right now. Let me finish my tawaf and I'll go. Remember how much sawab that tawaf, one round tawaf has. He says, break your tawaf, go and help your brother, come back and continue your tawaf. Do you understand what that means? 6,000 on one side, helping one individual is on the other side. Khidmat inside of our deen is such an important concept. When I say khidmat, I mean service outside of you. Meaning what? It has nothing to do with us. I don't want a plaque, I don't want an income tax receipt, I don't want talia, I don't want a shabash, I don't want anything. I'm doing it fi sabilillah. I'm doing it because at that moment, this is what my brother needs me to do for me. The first Imam describes the Prophet as what? As a roaming physician. He describes the Prophet of Allah in Nahj al-Balagha as a roaming physician. Meaning what? That the Prophet would go to the patient before the patient would come to him. And would see symptoms inside that individual before even he saw symptoms. And he would cure them before that person would have a moment to complain about his state. And when I say symptoms, I don't mean financial. It's not about cutting a check. It isn't. It's literally about just being there for someone. Nowadays, sending one text, man, what's that? Is everything okay? You haven't come to this program. You become quiet. We become reserved. Yeah, everything is fine. Okay, alhamdulillah. If you need to talk, I'm here. And all you do is you open the door a little bit. And one day they're going to come and ask you for help. But we've become a little bit of the individual, unfortunately. There's a whole discussion on Amr bil Ma'ruf and Nahi anil Munkar. But that's a lost obligation. A lot of these young guys know each other on social media. You see what you guys post on Instagram and Snapchat and Facebook, and some of it is bad news, and you know it's bad news, but we don't have the himmat and the gall to sit there and tell my own brother, who I've known since Bachpan, that look, this wasn't a cool post, man. That's not you. How can you be the same person on the stage with the same tongue of the dhikr and qasida of Ali Muhammad and use the same communication to promote some haram act? We don't have that culture because A, we're worried if I call somebody else out, he's going to call me out. Gotcha. You're telling me about this. Have you seen your post lately? So just to avoid that, we just let it go. Or we think, you know what, who am I? Who am I? And in reality, sometimes it all boils down to the fact that we need to serve things outside of us. Why is Shahadat so grand? Why is what Imam was saying and those other two individuals did what they did so grand in our eyes? Because they gave up everything that was precious to them for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every drop of blood, not only of theirs, of their family, of their women, Again, not to be respected, not to be elevated. No. No, not at all. Do we have that culture inside of us or not? Have we attached ourselves to a community or not? Yes, there are issues in every community. The programming might not be the best. The person on the member might not be the guy that I want to listen to. You know, they're too short, not enough English, not enough Urdu, starts too late, too far, 1,000 issues. The other option is that what? You're a lone sheep waiting for the wolf to attack. It requires a commitment. It requires a sacrifice, no doubt. I had a friend of mine who texted me 2 weeks ago. He said that a buddy of mine at work has a son who just turned 20. Okay? And he said that he's compiling a book for his son for his 20th birthday that's titled Things I Wish I Knew When I Was 20. Okay? And he's gathering little small pieces, paragraphs from random people about if you were 20 again, what is it that you wish you knew back then? And he asked me, anonymously, to write a little paragraph. And I did. It's a great idea, by the way. I really like that idea. It got me thinking. Okay? I was born and raised in Toronto. I went to school in Toronto, University in Toronto, work in Toronto, everything in Toronto. And one thing I wish someone told me when I was 20, of 1,000 things, one of them I wish that I want to share with the young guys in front of me is the importance of the tribe around you. Let me explain. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I have placed you in tribes and nations in the Quran. لِتَعَارَفُوا. Okay? So you can know each other. So belonging to a tribe is something that's fitri inside, it's innate inside of us. Okay, the example I give often is that my time in home when I first got there, they taught us Farsi. Okay? All the non-Iranians were put in one school and they taught us for 6 months Farsi, how to speak, how to write, how to read, everything. Now, I'll never forget my first class in Farsi. I was learning Alif Ba. And I had me and 12 other individuals in my class from 12 different countries. Okay? So they taught us Farsi in Farsi. Interesting, right? Can you imagine the first week? He's giving instructions, we have no idea what he's talking about. After the first class, there's a 10-minute break. And you go downstairs to a little chai shop, a little convenience store. So the whole school, only like 300 of us, whole school go downstairs, grab a chai, grab a little snack, and eat. It's amazing. You watch the guys come down from the class, and those who belong to the same country, they would seek out each other. Okay? So all the Pakistani guys just say, yeah, and we'll go running towards the corner. All the guys from, I don't know, Africa will go. All us guys from the West, the US students, the Canadian students, we all kind of huddle. And you have pockets, and they will drive the school crazy because they want us to not talk in our language. They want us to learn Farsi. But you realize that is what is called fitri, it's innate. Like my father who told me that when he first got to Toronto in the 70s and 60s, he would look up in the phone book, any Naqli, Hizvi, Sayyid, anything. If you saw a brown guy, let's say in no frills, it'd be Eid that day. Right? Now you see a white guy, and oh my God, what's this guy doing here? Yeah. But it was tribal. It was tribal. And there's a reason that God placed that inside of us. Okay? But what he didn't explain to us in the ayat is who to make part of your tribe. And what I wish I was told when I was 20 was, choose your circle of influence very carefully. Choose your circle of influence very carefully. The people that you choose to spend your time with, even now, it doesn't matter if you're 16, 18, 21, 24, what I wish I knew at 20 was that my boys, when I was 20 years old, would define my values, would pave the path of me and God. And if I didn't have the right guys around me, that path would be gone. My principles would be zero. And the Quran, amazing the Quran, it's amazing what certain things the Quran talks about in detail and certain things it doesn't talk about in detail. All it says about Salat salat is what? Aqimu salat. That's it. Established prayer. No fajr, no maghrib, no zohar, no nothing. Doesn't give you those details. That's hadith. But you look at the discussion on friendship in the Quran, it's very detailed. It's very detailed. Share with you two verses. One from Surah Furqan and one from Surah Al-Qur'an. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. The point I make often, it's one because I know I was told before I came to Winnipeg that it is a young city, mashallah. A lot of you are either foreign students or students from here, and it's nice to show somebody on a Saturday night. May Allah bless you guys. I know also it's exam week, so it's nice to see so many of you here tonight, mashallah. The first verse from Surah Al-Ankabut. Surah Al-Ankabut is a Meccan surah, okay? If you've done any reading on history in Islam, you know that the Meccan era of the Prophet's prophethood was a very difficult one. Very, very hard on the Prophet. Especially the last 3 or 4 years, Shibba Abu Talib, the loss of Bibi Khadija, the loss of Abu Talib was very detrimental for the Prophet. He was forced to migrate because Mecca was no longer a place he could stay. Okay? In the valley of Abu Talib, the Shibba Abu Talib, and by the way, I would encourage all my youth, whenever you can, read up on history, especially the Prophet's life. Incredible what he was able to accomplish in 2.5 decades. Okay? You know that eventually when the Quraysh were desperate in their tactics, the final blow for the Prophet was that they put sanctions on the Holy Prophet. Okay? Economic sanctions, social sanctions, everything. And they banished him out of Mecca, and they ended up staying in a valley called Shibba Abu Talib. A very, very scarce, a very difficult place to live. For 3 years, without any sort of food, any sort of water, very limited resources, they survived. They survived on the wealth of Sayyidah Khadija. May Allah bless her, inshallah. In that state, all the Muslims who ever believed in the Prophet of Allah's deen was told to go out of Mecca. And they all lived in the valley of Abu Talib. Now, you know enough to know that one group that flocked towards the Prophet of Allah were the young guys. The young and the poor. They came running to the Holy Prophet's mission. Up and down his mission, all of them, up and down the mission. He gave some of the most instrumental responsibilities to young individuals. Be it Jafri when he was in his 20s, be it Bilal, the first Mu'adhin, when he was 18, be it Maulana Ali, up and down his 20s. To tell them that age, to me, is not a factor. And the Prophet was very smart. He knew that on Ghadir, the only complaint they would have against Imam Ali was what? His age. They couldn't touch the man in piety, couldn't touch the man on the battlefield, nothing. But what they could say was that, Prophet, you're giving this 33-year-old his entire empire to lead? He's a 33-year-old. He's a youth. He ties his shoes up with a rope. He wears passed-up clothing. He eats dry bread. So the entire mission of the Prophet was built on the back of the youth. And I wish I had a whole ashra on that, but I don't. So now these young guys are in the Shibba Abu Talib, out of Mecca. Mecca was their hometown. So they begin to approach the Holy Prophet very carefully, please, all of you with me. And they say to the Prophet of Allah, and I'm paraphrasing, Ya Rasulullah, in Mecca, a lot of those guys who did not accept your mission are our friends. We grew up together, in the gullies of Mecca. We grew up with these guys. They didn't have tawfiq to say, no, thank you, call, we did. But now they're in Mecca and we are away from Mecca. We miss them. We miss that friendship. So what do? And this ayat is from Surah Al-Ankabut. And the verse says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لِنُدْخِلَنَّهُمْ فِي الصَّالِحَاتِ. For those, as long as you have iman and you do amal salih, you have faith and you do good deeds, Allah says, لِنُدْخِلَنَّهُمْ فِي الصَّالِحِينَ. We will place you amongst the pious ones. Meaning what? So when it comes to the issue of your friendship, we'll take care of your friendship for you. We'll find you people just like you. We'll make people your friends that you never thought could be your friends to begin with. Just don't sell your soul out and don't stop doing amal salih. There are youth I know up and down this world You talk to them one-on-one, guys, one-on-one, they're gems. They're gems. Their take on the world, their education, their level of awareness of world politics, their iman, their akhlaq, their adab, their etiquette, oh my God, amazing, 18, 19, I've met kids that just blow me away. You put that same kid in their group, you can't recognize them. They dress differently, they talk differently, they act, they even walk differently with their boys. And I know that's not them, and they know that's not them. And meanwhile, you can tell when you talk to them by themselves that their parents did an excellent job of tarbiyah with them. Excellent job of teaching them the morals and ethics and adab of the deen from day number one. But they belong to a very, very destructive group. And they know inside their zamir, their conscience, that these guys are bad news. But I belong to a group, Maulana. As long as I belong, these are my tribe. These are my brothers. I know they commit sin. I know they commit crimes. But if I ask them to be at my house at 3 a.m., they'll be at my house at 3 a.m. I can't leave that. So anytime they tell me, let's go here, let's go there, I know it's not good news. I just quiet my soul down, I close my eyes, and I go along with the flow. So I don't have another option. And that's when we don't understand this verse, that God says, you do have another option. I'm that option. I'll find you friends. I'll put you in groups. I've gone through 5 circles in my whole life. 5, and every circle I thought, oh, you guys are my brothers, man. Ride together, die together. And not in a ghurur way, not that, oh, I was better than, no, after a while you part, right? But I always had this fear of isolation, of being ostracized, of being called out, God forbid. So what would I do? I would quiet my conscience down that my parents worked so hard to build up. All for people who don't care about the deen. Or don't care about my akhirah, I'm sorry. And it goes back to my point. That if we want to tread this path of Allah, I believe there's nobody in this room who commits sin out of the enmity of Allah. It's not like we sit there and say, you know what, God, you watch what I do, I'll show you. No one does that. We all strive to be loved and beloved by Allah. Sometimes shaitan gets the best of us, sometimes enough, sometimes our desires, but we don't do it out of enmity of God, God forbid. So we all strive to be close to Him. But what we don't realize is you have to have a force field around you. And a group carrying you towards that group. Again, Surah Al-Imran, these are very famous verses you've heard 1,000 times. It says, what? كُنْتُمْ خَيْرَ أُمَّةً أُخْرِجَتْ لِلنَّاسِ. You are the greatest nation. You are the greatest nation amongst all the men. What makes you great? It's not salat, it's not sawm, it's not khums or hajj. It says, تَعْمُرُونَ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَتَنْحُونَ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ وَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ. The reason why you're the greatest is because you look out for each other. If you see a brother who's going towards good, you climb on. If you say, look, let's go volunteer at Hussain, for example, come, I'm going to pick you up, let's go. So let's go. That's the kind of friend you want. That's the kind of circle you want. That's why Imam says if you have one of those individuals in your life, that's enough for you. We count what? We count our Facebook friends, 337. Twitter followers is 118. We think that's what friendship is. No. Islam says friendship exists at the soul level. Where somebody is equally worried about my grave as they're worried about their grave. How many of us have one friend like that in our life? But when you're with them, you're reminded of God, he says. Not that you sit there with tasbih rocking back and forth, no. But if you sway off the path, they'll grab you by the toe and say, where are you going? Sit down where you are, come back here. It all goes down to the idea that we've forgotten about the collective nature of the deen. And we've adopted the individualism of the West. That, look, Maulana, I have a tough enough time keeping myself out of the grave. You want me to worry about his grave? I have a tough enough time looking out for a fajr to be worried about his fajr. Forget it. And I'll go back to the hadith by the Prophet of Allah. He talks about a boat with people in it in the deepest part of the ocean. Very famous hadith that we teach our kids in madrasa. And in that deepest part of the ocean, on the boat, you're on the boat, so are several others. And this one individual goes to the corner of the boat with an axe and starts to axe mashallah, I'll hold the boat. You have an option. You can sit there and say, oh, I wonder what he's doing over there. Oh, okay. That's good. Or you think, you know what, if the hole's big enough, water gets in, the boat sinks, we all drown. He says the boat is Islam, and the people in the boat are Muslims. And those who are causing the problems are those who are chipping a hole inside the boat of the deen. We have a choice to make. But we have to first break the chains of the self first, of the individual first. We have to stop asking ourselves, look, if I do this amal khair, what is it in it for me? Why is it the first question we ask when it comes to sponsoring an orphan in Pakistan or in Iraq or anywhere else is, do you offer income tax receipts? Is that $25 really worth it? And if they don't, we think twice about it. One lesson from these warriors of Karbala is that they served the deen outside of them. They had no barba for themselves. It wasn't like that. If you look at the seerah of Imam, these small things that you've heard since you were a child, the night of Hijrah, the night of migration, there was a plan to assassinate the Holy Prophet. The very last stage they had before migration was that, look, one person from every clan go on this night into his room and kill the man in his sleep. The Prophet got news from Jibreel that this was going to happen, and he summoned Imam Ali. You all know the story. Says, this is what's going to happen. Can you sleep in my bed? And the one question he asked, if it was me, I'd say, Prophet, when, who, what, where, how many guys, this and that, do I have to? What if I slept here? 1,000 questions. He asked one question. If by me sleeping here, will your life be saved? He says, yes, it will. There's no guarantee of life, right? He was told very specific instructions that you are to lie down like me, you are to cover yourself with my green blanket. He had a khas green blanket, the Prophet of Allah did. Just you are to emulate me. Imam Ali had no idea. These guys would rush in the room and just start stabbing. But there was no concern. There was a sense of itminan and calmness. Why? It was a mission outside of him. It was a mission of prophethood. And what good is my ata'at to the Prophet if I can't defend prophethood? You come to Islam on the day of Ashura. That if my nana's deen has to be saved by me tasting the arrows, then bring out the arrows. And it seemed like with every arrow and every mushkil, every struggle that Imam Hussain felt on the day of Ashura, he became more and more mutma'in with his Lord. And remember, it wasn't him that stopped the war. It was a soft Quranic ayat that says, Ya ayyuha nafsul mutma'inna, irji'i ila rabbiki. Meaning what? That's enough, Hussain. That's enough. You've proved your point. Now come back to your Lord. Where I am radi with you, and you are radi with me. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala. We have to adopt this level of collectivism inside of ourselves. Especially in this trying time of Islamophobia and all sorts of things, we have to come together. Surround yourself with the right people. Not just youth, my families, my parents in the audience. Ask yourself, who do I hang out with? Whose families do I go and spend Friday night or Saturday night with and go out for a picnic and go to this road trip? Are they people who are a good influence on my children or on me? Build your tribe. It's not about numbers. And understand, the Prophet says, "Ta'awanu ala birri wa taqwa, wa la ta'awanu ala ithmi wal udwan." Cooperate, help each other when it comes to birr and taqwa, righteousness and piety, but do not support each other. Wa la ta'awanu ala ithmi wal udwan. When it comes to sin, when it comes to aggression. Now, a lot of you might think that in my grave, Maulana, these guys that I help are not going to be there. And you're right, he's not going to be there. But what we don't realize sometimes is that I cannot achieve that level of qurbat with Allah unless I take someone else with me. Story of Imam Ali and one of his Sahabi. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ala alihi. I've been told that there's biryani tonight. And at least 5 or 6 people in the audience have already looked at the clock already. I'll be done within 10 minutes. So I don't want to stand between you and your biryani. So, the story says about Imam Ali and his companion very carefully are walking towards home. And they engage in small talk. And they walk and they talk and they walk and they talk and they get to the Sahabi's house. Imam Ali lived a little bit closer than Sahabi did. So they passed Imam Ali's house and got to Sahabi's house. When they got to the house, the companion said, "Oh my God, Ali, I didn't realize that we passed your house already. I got so engaged in talk with you that I lost track of where I was and what time it was. I'm sorry, we should have dropped you off first at your house." Imam Ali doesn't lose track of time. He knew exactly what he was doing. Look at the response of Imam Ali, a lesson for you and I. He says, a true believer is one who takes another believer by hand to his destination. This is as simple as going to a house, but there's a deeper meaning there. If everyone in this room strives to go towards Allah, it's a lot easier when we travel together. Look at the way that Imam Ali describes his wife the day after he marries me, Fatima Zahra. Sallallahu alayha wa Often this is shared in weddings by the ulama. The Prophet comes to Imam Ali, basically asking, "Do you have any complaints when it comes to my daughter? Anything I need to address as the father of hers?" Meaning, was everything okay? Is everything all right with her? And the ultimate response, he could have said anything about Shaitan, anything at all. And the one thing that he says about her, such a beautiful line. He says, "In your daughter, Ya Rasulullah, I found for me the best hamsafar towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The best travel companion towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If anyone can travel with Imam Ali towards Allah, it's Sayyidina Fatima." That's what he said about her. Sometimes I see families, wives go this way, they don't, she doesn't miss one program. Right? Every time in the center, she's there front and center. Khidmat serving. Her husband never comes. And one day somebody asked her, "Hey, I don't see, your husband." "Yeah, he's not really into these things. So he lets me do my thing, and I take it. That's the freedom he gives me." Right? And it's not a very healthy environment. I'm sorry. That's two people on two separate journeys. When in reality, a husband and wife should be going towards the journey together. A lot of times I tell my youth who are out there looking for spouses, beyond the blue eyes, look for someone that will take you towards Allah, that's not so self-absorbed, that has that sense of community and service, that go and volunteer, let's say, for no apparent reason, just because there's love for humanity. So my point tonight, and I'll wrap up, my point tonight is that let's move away from the individualism that this West is shoving down the throat of our youth. The deen is a jama'at. The deen is an ummah. It's a we mentality. Right? You hear about the idea of the example of a body where one portion of the body hurts, everything else comes and rescues that pain. The Prophet says the body is my ummah. One portion bleeds, everything else comes in, rescues that pain. That can't happen if we're still stuck in the person inside the mirror. So I asked my youth a couple of things. Number one is create inside of you this need to serve the community. And I don't just mean the Islamic community. I mean anything that's humanity-based. Go out there and serve the cause. Not for a plaque, not for your name, not for a award, not for some gift like at the end of the year, nothing. Just because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's the right thing to do. Again, what? Outside of you. Break the chains of the self. Number two is surround yourself with the right people. Examine your circle of influence. If you are in a destructive friendship, figure out a way to ease and back out of it without hurting anyone's feelings. But it's not worth the fact that your parents, the community, you yourself have worked so hard to be a muttaqi, pious individual. You give all of that away for the sake of a couple of people who might call you a few names tomorrow. But at the end of the day, Allah is there beside you. And number 3, and more importantly, is that use the Ahlul Bayt as our path. They've left us ample examples on how to live our life. No need to recreate the wheel, no need to make mistake after mistake. No, study their lives. That's why these dishes are so important. It not only invokes the love of Allah and Muhammad, but also teaches us about their teachings. Right? So we can also go down this path and understand this is the path of salvation, inshallah. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept our qaleel ibad, inshallah. We ask you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to accept our amal in the month of Shaaban. We ask you, Allah, to forgive our sins and those of our parents, inshallah. We ask you, Allah, there's so much bloodshed and tyranny all over Yemen and Bahrain, in Palestine, in Syria, Iraq, Pakistan, Nigeria. Another blast in Kuwait 2 days ago. In fact, yesterday. We ask you, Allah, to weaken the hands of the enemies of Islam, inshallah, and to strengthen the Mustaza'afin and the Jawan who are fighting this fight of our lives, inshallah. We ask you, Allah, to make us isqabil of the Hura of Imam al-Zamani, inshallah, and to be his ashab when he comes. Thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.